Blockchain Show is a podcast that demystifies cryptocurrencies and distributed ledger technology.
Hello, welcome back. You're listening to The Blockchain Show. I'm your host, Ethan Kinderknecht, and this is episode 201. Thank you very much for tuning in. Today we have a special guest. I'm talking with Dan Edlebeck, the co-founder and CEO of Exidio, Sentinel's development arm. Dan, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, Ethan, thanks for having me, and congrats on crossing 200 episodes. That's impressive.
Thank you. Yeah, it's taken a little while, almost 5 years, so missed a few weeks along the way, but it's been a lot of fun. I'm really grateful that you can be here.
No, that's impressive. And I think really it's about staying consistent, right? And continuing to just ship. I think that's the exact same perspective we have at Exidio. So kudos, man.
I guess just to begin, maybe tell us a little bit about yourself and your interest in the blockchain space and how all that came about.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Ethan. Well, I'm not as OG as you. I started getting interested and kind of fell down the blockchain rabbit hole in late 2016. I was in Costa Rica at the time. My wife and I were serving in the Peace Corps, and we were on a small island in rural Costa Rica. And there were times we were really busy with work, and there were times where like people were canceling on our meetings and we had down days, and we kind of expected that would be the nature of the work. And so I also, gave myself opportunities to do self-development, and I kind of started looking into personal finance and looking into emerging tech, and stumbled upon blockchain from some Reddit forums. And from there, I've definitely continued to go further and further down the rabbit hole, and been pretty much working in the crypto space since 2017.
Yeah, that's excellent. It's pretty much like a never-ending rabbit hole I've come to discover. So I can totally relate there.
Yeah. So I guess a little bit of my background within the crypto space. So when I first started learning about different projects, kind of like yourself, and learning kind of what were the different use cases and applications of the tech, I got really involved in a lot of different communities. And I started to launch the Sentinel Salt Lending Telegram community. And got that off the ground. It was originally like a Slack channel, and it was kind of a little bit chaotic, and kind of I saw there were a lot of people coming together on Telegram. And so I worked for a little while with Salt Lending on some of their communications and marketing. And then I started my own PR and marketing agency, Deedle Connects. And we worked with a few different projects. One was Salt Lending, another was Metal Pay, and then another was a Korean AI blockchain project. And then from Deedle Connects, I ended up starting my MBA at Babson College in Boston. And then I graduated a year ago now, but it was a little over a year ago in March, that I kind of came on and started getting Exidio off the ground with my co-founder, Srini.
Very good. And what's the relationship with Sentinel? How does it tie in with the development arm?
Yeah. And so kind of why we decided to found Exidio is because we saw Sentinel. Sentinel is a peer-to-peer network that anyone can plug into and offer bandwidth to the network as a collective pool of bandwidth that can be shared. And then anyone else can come in and tie into that network and route their traffic through anyone else's IP address. So kind of like a large VPN network or a large Tor network. But for the individuals that are offering bandwidth to the network, they're incentivized, and you earn dVPN tokens for doing so. So it's really kind of like an incentivized Tor network. The idea came to fruition in 2017, and the first products that were launched on the Sentinel network were in 2018. And I was always involved in the community, and I was really active and kept up with the tech, and was always following up with developers on what were the next steps in the development, and how a decentralized bandwidth protocol could really grow. And then we realized that Sentinel was starting to get ready for kind of its mainnet, and for being actually ready for mainstream adoption. And so we saw a lot more people downloading the applications, a lot more people demanding it. And Sentinel itself is just that. It's the peer-to-peer network. So it's a base layer framework that anyone can build on top of. And so if anyone wants to launch a VPN company, instead of maintaining all their own servers or paying for digital cloud servers, they can leverage the Sentinel network and then build their own front-facing VPN application. And so Exidio, we're the software development arm to help build integrations on top of the network. So anyone that wants to connect to the Sentinel network and build their own VPN can leverage Exidio and our expertise in integrating with the network. And then we also do support for development on the Sentinel dVPN protocol, connecting to the Cosmos hub. And then we also help with other blockchain projects in the Cosmos ecosystem on their development.
I've been using a VPN for maybe half a year. I won't say which one. Maybe we can talk about it after we stop recording. But I was reading about VPN hacks, and it kind of really disrupted my sense of security that I had, because you think of VPNs being this kind of super secure prevention mechanism, but I've seen some hacks happening lately, and there's no guarantee that other VPNs can't, fall prey to the same sort of attacks. So the whole idea of decentralized open source VPNs or dVPNs, that's something that's definitely needed. That's another one of those aspects of blockchain that I didn't really foresee just yet. I mean, I think we may have had one episode where we talked about utilities like that, but the way you guys are going about it just makes so much sense. I really like that it's operating on the Cosmos blockchain. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about why you chose Cosmos and how that kind of is offering some a little bit more privacy and security.
Yeah, absolutely. So when Sentinel was created and came together by a bunch of kind of disparate developers in 2017, they were thinking about the long-term viability of the project and the network. And they realized that the competitors are going to be centralized VPN providers, kind of like the one you have now. There's other projects that are going to be building decentralized protocols, but we're still, so tiny and a blip on the map as far as market share. And the huge opportunity is a growing space for the need for secure access to private networking. To be able to compete with centralized VPN providers, we're going to need to compete with them on the things that customers expect, the user experience, on payment and the price point in which we're offering the service, and the ease of getting access to it. So we knew that we'd want an interoperable blockchain that, if people want to pay with crypto, they can pay with any crypto and they can pay seamlessly. And we knew that we needed one that was going to have the right throughput and the ability to actually take on multiple transactions at a time. So the architecture of the network is that, let's just say, Ethan, you're a node and you're offering your bandwidth to the network, and people can route their traffic through your IP address. By offering that node to the network, you're simply posting the details of your node, your IP address, your throughput, your consistent uptime, all the details around your node. You're posting it to the blockchain. And then if I wanted to route my traffic and select your node as the node that I'm routing my traffic through, based on that, your jurisdiction or based on your uptime, I would select your node and connect to it. But the only way that I'm viewing your node is that the front end application that I'm using to connect to your node is calling the blockchain via API to get that information. So there's no one company that's hosting all the nodes or that's collecting all the data. It's all posted and viewed on the blockchain. So it's definitely a good use for blockchain because of the permanent record of posting things to the blockchain, and that it keeps the network decentralized. There's no one company that's maintaining all the servers. So Cosmos is really the right architecture for us to be able to complete that.
Yeah. Wow, that's excellent. And something I really like about Cosmos is, people can stake on there, and from my understanding is you kind of betting in a project you believe in, and you can actually get rewarded by helping to grow that network. Is that kind of similar to people who would be purchasing the dVPN token? How does that token work?
Yeah, exactly. So any project that's built on Cosmos SDK or built on Tendermint within the Cosmos ecosystem needs to bootstrap its own set of validators to secure its own blockchain. And so they're all independent blockchains. And so Sentinel is its own blockchain built on the Cosmos SDK. And we have about 75 different validators that are looking to validate our blockchain. But to be a validator, you need to be in the top 64 amount of validators as far as tokens delegated to your validator to help secure the blockchain. So by having tokens delegated to your validator, you have those tokens of which you can use for voting power on on-chain governance proposals and ensuring that all transactions are confirmed. And then by staking your tokens, you're earning a staking reward. So every validator that has tokens that are allocated to them, those are being staked. And right now we have an incredible participation. It's like over 90% of all tokens on the Sentinel network are participating in staking. So there's a huge buy-in from the community, and a lot of people see the value in this. And I don't think that people are looking to sell the tokens quickly. They want to see the network continue to grow. And by staking tokens, they're not eligible to be sold or transferred for 28 days until you unbond them. So people are definitely, thinking about the long-term security of the network, and they're not even keeping, percentage of their tokens liquid. People are locking them up and delegating them to validators to ensure that we have a really strong and secure blockchain.
Yeah, that's excellent. I think it's a wonderful setup. So let's say that I was to get some of the tokens. How would I go about purchasing them, and how would I delegate them to someone?
So right now you could purchase them on a centralized exchange MXC. Sentinel had its mainnet less than 2 months ago at the very end of March. And it transitioned from being on testnet to being on mainnet on Cosmos. So our testnet was on Ethereum, and now we're on mainnet on Cosmos. And MXC has been the exchange that helped us with the token swap and providing access for everyone. And I think it's a pretty legit exchange. It's growing and it's gaining a lot of popularity. And then in less than a month's time, decentralized finance and all the DeFi applications are coming to the Cosmos ecosystem as well. And so it's really exciting. One of the big applications is going to be the Gravity DEX. And the Gravity DEX is featuring some of the top protocols built on Cosmos, and Sentinel is one of them. I think there will only be about 12 or so Cosmos-based blockchains that will be available at the launch of the Gravity DEX, and Sentinel will be one of them. And then there's also a automated market making protocol called Osmosis that'll be launching, I believe, in June as well. So there's a lot of exciting things happening as far as getting access through DeFi. And then one other way you can get access right now is if you didn't want to use a centralized exchange, you could buy the old ERC20 token. It's the SENT token, the CENT token on Uniswap, and then get those tokens as ERC20s. And then Sentinel has built a swap tool, swap.sentinel.co, and you can swap your ERC20s to dVPN mainnet tokens as well. So you can either use a DEX or centralized exchange, and then there's going to be more DEXs coming on Cosmos.
Yeah, this is an exciting time. Do you offer a wallet, or would someone have to use like a API based wallet to get involved with staking?
Yeah, so Exidio, the company that I'm leading, we built a wallet for Sentinel. And so you can get that right on sentinel.co on our website on the downloads tab. And you can also get it on GitHub. So yeah, we do have our own native wallet. And then you can also use Cosmos Station, which is kind of a best-in-class wallet for Cosmos-based blockchains. And then another is the Kepler Wallet, which is also a top-tier wallet for Cosmos-based blockchains. And the Kepler Wallet looks and feels a lot like MetaMask. It's a browser extension that connects, very seamlessly, and you can use your ledger. And the same with Cosmos Station, you can connect to it via your ledger. So a few different options for people, whatever they're looking for.
Yeah, it's definitely something that I want to explore, but I don't have like a whole lot of extra money lying around. So would someone like me, I'd probably be better off delegating the tokens to someone else. But if somebody does have the means, how would they go about creating a node?
Yeah. And so I want to be clear, there's two types of nodes. So if you're being a validator to validate the Sentinel blockchain, that is a little more capital intensive. And not only is it a little bit more capital intensive, but you need to be able to manage a validator. And it would be no different than maintaining a validator on, Secret Network or Akash Network, or, maintaining a validator for Cosmos. And so you need to be able to keep, maintain and operate a consistent validator and participate in governance. And that's a little more hands-on. And like I said, you need to be in the top 64 validators as far as tokens delegated to you. And then the other type of node is a dVPN node. And that's anyone from, your own home computer able to plug and play. And we're working with a lot of different node host providers to be able to make that process seamless. So we're working with Pocket Network, and we're also working with StrongBlock that offer node hosting services to make it really seamless for any individual.
So I got a little ahead of myself. I got excited about the technology. If you wouldn't mind just going back briefly so we could I didn't do a very good job of setting up, the problem, which was some of these VPN hacks. Would you mind just kind of like identifying the problem of how some of these other VPNs are not quite as secure as people think they are?
No, absolutely. And that's really the whole impetus for this network is we're relying on one service, right, to help provide us a more secure and private experience online. And so we know that, Comcast or AT&T or whatever our centralized internet service provider is oftentimes tracking our metadata and our usage online and either reselling that or keeping the logs of that information. And so to not allow our ISP to have that information, we're using VPNs to give ourselves an access to a more private and sovereign experience online. And then what people don't realize is all we are is passing the buck to a different private company that's also a honeypot with that data. So centralized VPN companies are a lot less altruistic than we like to believe they are. A lot of the companies are actually a lot of the front-facing applications that we use are owned by the same company. So the industry itself is pretty much an oligopoly with 5 or 6 big players that own a lot of the different products just under different brand names, and they're under different companies, but roll up to like similar parent companies. So there's a lot of price fixing, and the prices are really high for the services they offer. You don't need to pay $5 or $7 a month for VPN. While that number might not seem high, it's still way higher than is necessary. The margins are incredibly high. And also they claim that they're not logging user data. And oftentimes VPN companies will even say that they have a third-party audit to prove that they're not logging data. But it's just not the case. That a lot of these companies, while they claim they're not logging data, actually are. NordVPN was hacked in 2019, and it was proven that they were logging user data. And so the one company that we're leveraging to provide a secure private experience for ourselves online is taking advantage of our trust and not providing the one thing we're paying for. So that huge problem was what was the impetus for thinking about how do we build a decentralized VPN where there is no company that can actually access any user's data, and the products themselves are open source, and you can actually review the code and prove that it's truly end-to-end encrypted. And that was what was the kind of idea behind the Sentinel dVPN protocol back in 2017. And we've had tremendous growth since. And then the other issue is that the Tor network is an interesting peer-to-peer network. And that actually does provide a lot of opportunities for individuals to route their traffic through other individuals' IP addresses. But again, that network has been compromised as well. It's not an incentivized network, so anyone that's offering bandwidth is doing it, out of the goodness of their heart. But the challenge with that is that it doesn't stack up, it doesn't stand the test of time, and it ends up not being sustainable. Nodes end up coming offline, and a lot of the nodes now on that network are run by intelligence agencies or privacy agencies. And so, your data can still be compromised because a lot of the nodes are run by intelligence agencies. So now Sentinel's looking to completely overhaul that system by providing a truly peer-to-peer network and incentivizing nodes to be able to stay up and continue to participate in the network. And we've seen incredible growth. So, there were less than 1,000 users when the app came out in the middle of 2018, the first applications. And the applications have continually been iterated on, seeking feedback from the community, getting feedback from user experience, and continually develop them. Exidio, we've been working heavily on the front-end development of applications, and we completely overhauled the Android application, and we just launched the iOS application. So we're really excited about those, and we've gotten a lot of positive feedback. So I'd encourage you, Ethan, to just download and try it out and compare it to your current VPN. We've seen that there's real demand for this. There's over 300,000 active sessions from different individuals around the globe that are using the Sentinel dVPN. So we're seeing that this has huge opportunity and there's real consumer demand. And now it's on us at Exidio to continue to build great products and make for a seamless experience that's going to match the experience you get with a centralized VPN, but provably be end-to-end encrypted and, offer it at a lower price point.
Yeah. Well, it sounds excellent. And, just for those listening who would like to try it out, is it just as simple as going to the website, downloading it for the desktop and going to the app stores and downloading the app?
Exactly. Yeah. And I recommend trying it out first on Android or iOS. The desktop application it's under construction right now. So we have an older version up, but it's something that we're going to be launching a completely overhauled desktop application in the coming, I like to say 6 weeks, but 2 months at the very latest. And so we're really excited about that launch as well. It's a lot of work in the making.
Yeah. A couple follow-up questions then. You mentioned that it shouldn't cost like $5 a month. Earlier, you said people pay in any cryptocurrency. Maybe just kind of, just tell me how people are paying for it, that process.
Yeah. So right now it's still free to use, and we're going to be monetizing the network in the coming weeks. So it's definitely an opportunity now to try out the application, use it for free, see if you really like it, and then decide if you want to pay to continue to use the service long term. And we'll be offering payment for any Cosmos-based blockchain. And then we will also be opening payment for other cryptocurrencies as there's bridges that are built to the IBC, the Inter Blockchain Communications Layer, built on Cosmos. And then later on in this, in the second half of this year, we'll be incorporating fiat gateways and payment providers that people can pay via, Apple Pay or PayPal or credit card. So we want to continue to iterate and make sure that the product has the same user experience as someone on a centralized VPN. And then the prices, there'll be like a standard pricing model if someone wants to pay for, subscription service similar to they're used to on a normal VPN. And then there will be an alternate payment model if anyone wants to pay directly to an individual node that they're routing their traffic through. And the nodes themselves will post the prices that they charge for bandwidth through their individual node. That'll be a competitive, dynamic marketplace where individual nodes will be competing for users to route their traffic through their nodes and based on the price and the consistency of their nodes.
All right. And I know that for a lot of VPN services, speed is kind of like one of the selling points. And I know I'm oftentimes trying to connect to the fastest servers for certain applications. How does that work on a decentralized blockchain setup? Is speed an issue?
Yeah, no, that's a fair question, Ethan. So the speed will still be dependent on the nodes that you're routing your traffic through. And so, if you're going to be offering a dVPN node and you want to have a consistent user base, you want to make sure that you have, a good internet service provider connection and that you're able to offer your excess bandwidth and be able to handle multiple individuals. But the speeds generally are not an issue. It's just a matter of how many individuals you could have trafficking through your node at one time. So if you're like a normal 80 megabytes per second, IP connection, you could probably have about 10 individuals routing their traffic through your node at one time. And if you're running like a larger node, maybe from a data center, then you probably have about 10 times the throughput that you would from an individual ISP.
Yeah, well, that's excellent. I love that. The whole concept there is pretty brilliant. Whose idea was it? Did you guys kind of just come to the realization together, or was there one person that came up with the idea? I'm kind of curious how that came about.
Yeah, I mean, it was quite a few different developers. I don't even know all of them. Srini, our CTO, he was one of the early developers on the blockchain and coming together with a couple other guys that were privacy-focused individuals. So I think it started in online chats around privacy and privacy protocols. And that was kind of where individuals came together. And then they said that there's a huge opportunity here. Quite a few of the developers were in India. So they were already local and were able to kind of kick around ideas and start putting like the base code together. So there's that, but it makes a ton of sense because just like, Siacoin or Filecoin or storage, they're using excess computer resources that we're not using in our hard drive space to provide a collective cloud server base where we can store data It's the same concept. This is an excess resource, as a commodity, our bandwidth. And we're not using the vast majority of it. And so using that excess bandwidth to pool it together to a collective marketplace is where there's a huge opportunity. And it's being able to rent your house out when you're not there on Airbnb and generate income. Being able to use your excess resource of your bandwidth and rent it out and generate income it's just an unused resource that we can leverage to make it for a more secure and private experience for everyone.
Yeah, having like the extra resources lying around, like most of the day, I'm not even using the internet. If I'm at work or at night sleeping, I got some extra computers lying around. How much do you think well, I guess my first question would be, is it possible like to turn it off? If say that, I have like an intensive project or I have to download a bunch of things, like can I, theoretically, if I could be routing traffic through my computers, is there a way to disable it temporarily?
Yeah, you can turn your node off, but generally you want to have a node that you're going to be able to have consistent uptime. And so one way you could do it is you could have one IP address that you use for yourself personally, and that you feel like you can shut off when you need, and then a different IP address that you could use just to offer bandwidth to the network. But generally, we want nodes that have consistent uptime because people that are routing their traffic through your IP are depending on that for their usage. So yeah, you can either keep it up all the time and still use it, but if you want to pull the node down from the network, it's better to maybe operate one for your individual self and then one for the node for the network. Okay,
so let's say that I decided to upgrade my internet service provider's bandwidth, and I had a couple old laptops. What's the like tech specs that I would need on those computers to make it worthwhile?
Yeah, so the hardware requirements are not that high. We have them all at docs.sentinel.co. But they're not like if you any computer that's like a decent laptop in the last few years would be more than enough to be able to offer bandwidth, or even you could be doing it through a Raspberry Pi. You just run a simple Docker image.
Okay. Yeah, so it's not too dependent on like the computer's processor. It's more just the internet speed.
Correct. Like you need a 2-core processor. At least 4 gigs of, ideally 4 gigs of RAM, and 20 gigs or more of a solid state drive, hard drive.
Yeah. Okay. That's excellent, man. Well, sorry if this is a dumb question, but would somebody like me be able to set up a node, and how does somebody get to the point where they can set up, the other one that you mentioned where they're having, what was it, like the top 65% delegated to them?
64 validators. As an individual, you probably want experience in running a validator node. There's a lot of blockchains that have, proof of stake blockchains have that. So like Tezos or Cosmos, or I believe Dfinity has their validator set. So if you're new to running a validator, that would be kind of like you want to dig deeper into what that entails and being able to ensure that you're maintaining your validator, because people that are delegating tokens to you, if you don't keep your validator up, you can get your validator slashed, and those individuals can get tokens that are lost. So you want to I think if you're looking to run a validator node, that's a little bit deeper dive into, is this something you want to do? And it's a source of income. That's a huge opportunity for individuals that are building out staking as a service providers and building out validator sets. But for running a dVPN node, you go to docs.sentinel.co, and the details as far as how to host a node and how to run the Docker image are pretty straightforward. And you just follow those processes to set up your node and post it to the Sentinel blockchain. And then you start generating revenue.
Yeah, I'm very impressed. So definitely it's important for people to do their research. This is definitely something I will look into, if nothing else, just to learn about, because this is kind of like the modern man's way to invest and save. This is where it's at, decentralized applications, because bank accounts, the interest rates are kind of laughable. The dollar is, a lot of people are afraid it's going to be subject to inflation, and who knows what's going to happen in the near future. But if somebody has, computers, internet connection, and the know-how, they can really kind of change their economic situation, which is something that I've always been kind of like I said earlier, passionate about. So I really appreciate you taking the time to explain some of the more technical aspects to me. I know the audience will enjoy it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I completely agree. I think this is an opportunity, right? Where we're providing, trying to provide information and educate people on ways that you can be more independent and sovereign, especially in challenging times. Most of my career I've spent in the social service sector. And I'm really passionate about how do we provide a more equitable and like happy world for everyone. And so, there's huge opportunity to participate in this growing, economy within the blockchain space, getting involved, contributing to projects, learning kind of what the tech is and how you can provide value, and getting yourself, inserting yourself and bringing that value. And there's a ton of opportunity for revenue. Right now at Exidio, we're hiring aggressively. We're hiring full stack developers, back-end developers, front-end developer. We're hiring a graphic designer. I think we're about to, we just posted the offer and we're closing the terms on that. And we're also hiring on the business side and marketing side. So there's tons of opportunity in this industry. We're growing at a fast pace, and we're excited for people that are passionate about the opportunity to provide a more secure and sovereign experience for people online that want to get on the bandwagon with us.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's so great to hear, man. And again, I just want to say thank you for coming on the show. If there's anything you want to leave us with, if you want to repeat any of the places people can go to learn more, to connect, or just anything in general you want to leave us with, please feel free.
Yeah, no, come to our website. We're going to be overhauling it, but the information is still there. It's sentinel.co. And at sentinel.co, you'll have links to our Telegram group. We have a really active community. So feel free to jump in, ask questions, get involved. We're excited. We definitely have people that are passionate about the work we're doing. And I think that is what keeps me going and keeps me vibrant, is knowing that I'm just not doing this myself, that we're leading a bigger cause. There's a lot of individuals that want to see a truly peer-to-peer bandwidth sharing network, and that we're growing it right now. And also feel free to get connected with us on Twitter, twitter.com/sentinel_co. We'll be putting out the details of our incentivized opportunity for dVPN node hosting. And if you want to learn more about just kind of internet networking protocols, feel free to jump in and ask any questions. We're happy to connect.
All right. Well, Dan, this has been a real pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Ethan. Appreciate your time.
Thank you for listening to The Blockchain Show.